So B'ezrat Hashem will be learning today Hilchot Tzad, hunting or catching animals on Shabbat, on Shabbos, yeah. And I'm sure none of you go out hunting. I think there's no one from the south here, right? Correct me if I'm mistaken. So I guess you don't take your gun on a Shabbos afternoon and say, okay, what animals can I hunt here?
South of the U.S. or south of Eretz Yisrael?
The U.S. So I think, yeah, southern U.S. And the army once I was up north guarding a settlement. All of a sudden I hear shooting and I get all my soldiers around the settlement. And I called the Rav Shatz, like the person in charge of the security of the settlement. I asked him, we're going to hear shooting. He said, the Arabs are hunting wild boars. That's fine. So,
Really?
yeah.
I know, I need it either.
I'm not sure why, but they were hunting out.
Or they were having a wedding.
Oh,
No,
Or
it was hunting.
graduation.
No, they were hunting. They were hunting.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but they were
They
hunting
shoot-
them.
They shoot under all these conditions, though. We are shooting here.
Yeah, but you can hear the
They
difference
say
between.
this is a party.
Yeah. When my daughter was young, she was 1 year old more or less. One evening, we lived in Beit El, and one evening she used to sleep quite good nights, Baruch Hashem. All of a sudden, she wakes up in the middle of the night. We found her bed. So she's awake. We take her to her room, and we didn't understand how come she woke up in the morning. We lived in a caravan, so the very thin walls. In the morning, we go to our neighbors and we see they're looking at the house, at the window, and the window got bullets because there was a wedding down the valley, and they were shooting up, and some of the bullets hit the caravan. I said, 1 second, maybe that's why my daughter woke up. I go into her room and I see a hole in the roof and a bullet on the floor. So that's our neighbors. Yeah, she woke up because of it. Yeah, okay, that's okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about hunting on Shabbat, catching animals on Shabbat, and I'm moving it from hunting to catching animals because many times we have questions of catching animals.
Traps don't count.
What is it?
Glue traps
Glue-
for mice.
Can I put the glue trap on Shabbat? I have
If it's
a,
already-
if it's already out. If I have a mosquito, can I catch the mosquito on Shabbat?
With the electronic
The electronic lights, can I put them before Shabbat?
You know that landed me on Shabbat.
Can you kill it on Shabbat?
I would, no matter what you tell.
Okay, so maybe when I tell you, close your ears, and then in the sukkah, in the sukkah, yeah, the bees. Okay, a lot of people take cups and try to catch the bees, and can you close the window? And between the window and the net, you have flies. What happens if a pigeon or a dove comes into your house on Shabbat? Can you close the door of your house on Shabbat? If you have, let's say, a bird came inside, you have a dog, can you put the dog on a leash? What happens if it's a new dog? Okay, it will escape from you, not the one that you'll say, and he'll come. So the different questions which we do have. If you have parrots and you want to go and feed the parrots on Shabbat. When I was a child, my grandfather built for us a huge parrot cage. When I say huge, it was 7.5 meters long. Yeah, a huge parrot cage. And the question,
In my room.
yeah, it was a very big. We had, yeah, it was. I could stand there, I think, on a ladder and still not reach the top of the. It was a very big parrot cage. We had fun looking after the parrots, but then I can quit. I opened it, and obviously it has a door. You open the door on Shabbat. Can you close the door on Shabbat, or do you have to have a double door? So questions like that, hopefully, we'll get to the questions. So first we have the oraita.
Questions in the mission about the animal coming into the.
Yeah, we have about a deer coming into the house, and then we'll mention the Rashba Be'ezrat Hashem. The Rashba, most poskim don't, we'll go to the Rashba, most poskim don't follow the Rashba, don't hold like the Rashba, but he has an interesting view on what we call Psik Reisha, and hopefully we'll get also to the Rashba. So,
Shabbat has a picture of.
yeah, of the deer coming into the house, and I think none of us had deers coming to the house, but we probably have more birds coming into the house, and that's much more common. So first, the Doraita level. Okay, the Doraita level from the Torah forbids to catch animals when we have two conditions. A, it's an animal that we usually catch. Okay, for example, birds. Usually people catch birds because they want the meat, they want the eggs, they want the parrots to grow them. Okay, but from the Torah law, okay, from Torah law, people usually don't catch ants. I mean, when I was a child, we tried to catch ants once and grow them. We had a jar, but most people, most adults don't catch ants to grow ants, right? So if it's something that usually people catch, that's forbidden from Torah
Even
law.
though in that instance, there's like a product sold that's an ant trap. If you have
Yeah,
ants in your house,
yeah, we'll get also to ant traps, right? We'll get also to that. So that's so the first thing, it's something that people usually catch. For example, parrots. Okay, parrots. For example, people want to catch parrots. That's the first thing. What
I was
don't you?
gonna ask
That might
Joel,
change.
do you want
That
to-
changes? What? Well, when I'm talking about as a child, when we had the parrot cage, so we had someone who a parrot escaped from someone, and
So how old are you?
now I remember Paro. You can't ask me my age, how old I am.
Because you were catching parrots. I don't know.
Because I had a big parrot cage. So other parrots from around the area used to come to for the parrots and to the food. So, and at nighttime they sleep. So it's interesting if you have them sleep, and some of them go to sleep just before it's dark, and you can get if you are quiet, you can get very close to them and just catch them like suddenly, and they won't notice it because they're sleeping. So if you want to catch a bird, at least from my small experience, we had many animals. Okay, I had a friend who used to catch snakes to grow them, but I never did that. Okay. Anyway, I did catch ants as a child, but I'm sure you did too. Okay, so that's
Firefly
flies, right?
in Brooklyn.
So that's the first condition. It needs to be something that usually.
Brooklyn and the little
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
beach nut,
New Jersey, for sure,
beach
yeah.
nut baby food
Firefly.
jars, and you would poke a hole in the top of it.
Sure,
Okay.
they're not there, sure.
Yeah. And the second,
From Brooklyn.
Yeah, no, fireflies,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's.
okay. That's a common thing. Here we don't have fireflies. Yeah. So yeah, and the second condition is it needs to be that you can catch it from the Doraita level, that you can catch it to where you can hold it. Which, for example, if I catch a bird and I put it in a small box, okay, it's very easy to get the bird when it's in a small box. Okay, if I catch, let's say, a deer into relatively a small room, okay, I chase a deer into a small room, it's very easy to catch the deer after it's in a small room. That is tzeidah mideoraita. But if I take a bird and I put it in this big room here, and even after it's in the room, so I know it won't escape from the room, but I'll still have to have quite a lot of effort in catching the bird here, that isn't tzeidah mideoraita. Mideoraita. So that's the deoraita level. It needs to be something that we usually catch, and it needs to be something that in a place where I can get it very easily, or in my hands, or in a place where it's very easy to get it, like maybe one jump, or very easy to get it.
Comes in on its own though.
We'll get to it. What happens when an animal comes
For
in? So
example, at Nashwell, last week or 2 weeks.
there's a
ago,
bird that came into the shul.
Nobody did anything.
We'll get to it very soon about what happens in the case like that. Chazal said that that even when I catch an animal, when there's and those two conditions, okay, even then, so it's a assumed rabbanan. Like many things we see on Shabbat, Chazal expanded the Torah level. Okay, so if I have a bird that comes into the house and I want to kind of close the door, I said, now I have a pet for my neighbor. Okay, my neighbor asked for me a pet. I have a crow, which I don't like so much, and finally I can catch the crow, give it to the neighbor. Now it's his problem. So that's that is a problem with the Rabbanan. Okay, so when I hunt an animal, even in a place where you can't catch it at one go, it will take you some time to catch it. That's an isur mi derabanan. Okay, and the same when I catch animals, even if usually people don't catch them, okay, to use them. So Chazal said, since you are doing the same action of hunting, so it will be an isur derabanan. A very, very common example for that is flies. I don't know, no one at least, I don't know, catches flies in order to grow them or to use them, right? And we don't do it. The faces here, no, we don't do it. But someone, says the Shulchan Aruch, someone who catches flies, although it's not something that usually people try to hunt them, you aren't allowed to hunt them or catch them. And that is a rabbinical, from the rabbinical level. Okay, so we learned up to now 2 levels. the Torah level, we have to have two conditions. It's an animal that usually people catch it, and it's also to a place where it's nitzod, it is hunted in that place. And rabbinical level expanded it, even if it's an animal that people don't usually catch, and a animal that, or it's in a place where you can't catch it in one go. So already now we can answer some of the questions we have. I'm sitting in the sukkah, and we have a minhag on Sukkot to have honey. We have from the day of Rosh Hashanah until Simchat Torah, we have honey. Turns out that bees love honey, right? Bees love honey. So always, not always, but many times, we'll have bees coming into our sukkah. And then as kids, we'll take the cups and try to catch them. And are you allowed to catch them on Shabbat? Says, no, you cannot catch bees on Shabbat, although it's not something that usually people catch. By the way, I think we had here once outside the shul, we had a beehive, and we called the matzah. Now, a bee is considered a protected animal in Israel, so you can't destroy the beehive. So you call the matzah, and I think they called someone who grows bees, and then they
would remove the hive.
They remove the hive, and especially they'll take the queen and rebuild the hive wherever it is. Okay, so that's sometimes actually people, I've seen it, people actually do hunt sometimes the queen. Not us, but people who grow honey or have, so they'll hunt.
Now, that would be trapping, but for a purpose.
That'll be trapping for a purpose, right? And that might be even Isur Midoraita, because that's the normal thing that you hunt, you catch a queen of a beehive. Okay, so we talked about two levels. Now let's discuss a level that it's permitted from the Torah and also from the Rabbanan. Okay, it's permitted. And then we'll discuss interesting questions. Okay, so the level which is permitted is if I'm catching something which is already domesticated, that'll be the word, yeah. Domesticated. Okay, let's read the Shulchan Aruch inside.
Like a dog.
Like a dog, okay, like a dog. One second. Okay. I'll read it inside. It's the end of the Siman. It's where, by the way, we're in Shin Tet Zayin, it's 316. If you have a person has animals in his belonging, he can catch them, but only if they aren't animals that always try to escape. Okay, so for example, also when I was a child, I used to grow chickens, and the chickens, they were in the cage, but if I would open the cage, and they would escape from the cage, so they would escape from the cage, right? I think the ducks, I also had ducks for a short amount of time. They were too messy in the end, so I had to give them up. So we loved animals when I was a child. We lived in a Rehovot, but we had a house. So a chicken, even if it belongs to you, if it's an animal that will escape, that you can't catch it. Okay, but if it's a dog, for example, if it's a dog, a horse that you call the horse, okay, if someone has a horse, I never had a horse. If you call the horse, and the horse will come, and it's very easy to put your hand on its neck and to hold it and to tie it up, there's no problem of tzeidah. The same for a dog, that's the very thing for a dog. Sometimes the dog will be playful and will escape, but you'll whistle to it, show it a stick, give it a bit of snacks, and it will come running to you and even follow you to the house. So a dog you can catch on Shabbat, especially, mainly if the dog is used to you and he doesn't escape. He doesn't escape, so then you can catch it. Okay, so that brings us to a question about a bird's cage.
Wait, so go back a second. So in the last two examples, they were pets.
Pets, yeah.
So pets, you didn't mention the word pet, so I'm just asking. I don't even know what the word is.
So it's domesticated animals. Okay, domesticated animals, because something is yours and is used to you and doesn't escape. Okay, for example, also a horse or a donkey, even if it's not a pet, that's your car, right? You have a 2024 electric car, at least it's not on fuel, your horse, and it doesn't pollute the air so much, and you call the horse, and there won't be tzeidah with it because it's domesticated and he doesn't escape from you when you call it. A parrot is a pet, but many parrots will escape from you. No, though some parrots, they're hand trained and they'll come to you and they'll climb on your back and try to. So they're fine. You can catch them on Shabbat. You can return them to the cage. There's no problem with that. What about a bird's cage? that if you open the cage for too long, the birds will fly out and will escape, and it won't come back to you when you call it back. We have those green parrots living outside. I'm not sure if they moved to here from India or wherever they came, just immigrated, or they escaped as pets and then just loved the land of Israel, made Aliyah, and started multiplying here. So I'm not sure how they came here, but that's an example of an animal that's going to escape and become.
We have an interesting situation in this country because of migration.
Of animals,
Birds and
right?
birds.
Yeah. We have different birds. The manya who comes here and lives here. But anyway, that's an example of an animal who will escape and will not come back to you. So that you can't catch on Shabbat. So if you want to feed the bird, how do you feed the bird on Shabbat if it's in a cage? And the answer is open the door. And when you open the door, make sure always to keep it closed with your hands. Okay, so if you open the door to change water or something, keep it closed with your hands. So there's no problem of closing the door afterwards. Okay, when I had this big cage, so for some time we had two doors, a double door in the cage, and then there's always one of the doors is closed, and the birds, there's no problem of seda in it. Or if you fill the door very fast, okay, you open the door and fill the entrance, so there's no problem in closing the door because you aren't hunting and you aren't catching the animal. It's always being caught. Okay, so that's about feeding birds on Shabbat. Okay. Let's discuss about what happens, and that's going to be quite common. What happens when a bird comes into your house? Okay, when a bird comes into your house on Shabbat. So when a bird comes to your house on Shabbat, okay, and let's say you want the bird, it's maybe less common today, okay, and you're closing the door because you want the bird. It's quite obvious that you can't close the door on Shabbat. If you close the door and you want the bird to stay there, you have to leave some other window open or something like that. So you can't close the door on Shabbat if you want the bird. Okay, once, also when I was a child, I don't remember what it was, there was a parrot that escaped from someone, quite an expensive parrot, and he used to walk around, fly around houses, and you could see it sometimes in the gardens. Now I didn't see no one managing to catch it, although it was very expensive. But if it happens to come to your house on Shabbat, you can't close your door on Shabbat. Okay? What happens when you don't want to close the door in order to catch the bird? The truth is you don't even want the bird there in your house. You prefer the bird will come out of the house, but you want to close the door for other reasons. You want to protect I'm not sure, you want to prevent other birds from coming in. You want to just to lock the door for safety reasons. Okay, can you close the door in such a case? And here, as I said, it's very interesting because we have the Rashba, and although we aren't posek like the Rashba, we'll learn the Rashba just because it's an interesting idea of psik reisha. And says the Rashba, if the whole purpose of you locking the door or closing the door on Shabbat is for your own purpose, like to keep the house closed so people don't come in, you can close the door on Shabbat, although by closing the door, you are trapping the animal, the bird, inside the house. The Rashba talks about a deer. Okay, so if a deer comes into your house and you know there's a deer there in the house and you close the door because you want the house to be closed, maybe so that is fine according to the Rashba. Most poskim, and that's don't hold like the Rashba, and they say if you know that there's something inside the house, that is called psik reisha. Psik reisha means, at least according to those poskim, I'm doing an action which 100% will lead to another result. Okay, I'm doing an action of closing the door. Usually, why do I close the door? To keep the house safe, okay, keep the air conditioning, whatever it will be. And I know for 100%, okay, it will lead to another result, which is forbidden on Shabbat. That's called psik reisha, and that is forbidden. Although my intentions are for the mutar opinion. There's an argument here maybe of what is the definition of psik reisha. That's why it's an interesting argument. We won't go now so much into it, but just if you ever learn about psik reisha, this is one of the known sources that people bring to try and explain what is the definition of psik reisha. When I do it, it's, I wouldn't say unintended consequence because you know it will happen. Okay, so it's
So that's not your main purpose.
it's not the main purpose, right? So it's not the main purpose, a secondary purpose. And according to the Rashba, in such a case, it will be mutar. So that's just interesting to know about that. Since that's how we are posek, okay, you aren't allowed to close the the door or if a bird will be trapped inside the house. So in such a case, what should you do? Open a window. Okay, open a window. Close the door and open a window. And since there's a chance that the bird can come out, even if it will be hard for it, but if the bird looks for the exit, the bird will find the exit. So just open the window. The same says the Shulchan Aruch. You shouldn't cover a beehive. Okay, a beehive. If you know that you are trapping bees inside the beehive. I won't go into it. Okay, why is it exactly like that? But that can be quite a common halacha when I close a window, and between the net and the glass, there are flies. Okay, so there are flies between the net and the glass. So according to Shulchan Aruch lechatchila, this is a bimachmer. We can be sometimes a bit more maker with it. We won't go into all the details now. Lechatchila, when if I have a net and the glass, and I want closing the window, opening the window, I should make sure there's a small, slight hole where the flies can go out to the free air. What happens when you have a mosquito on you? Okay, killer. So we don't kill a mosquito on Shabbat. But there's an interesting, first there's a question of definition of tzeidah, trapping or hunting. What's the definition of tzeidah, of trapping on Shabbat? The definition this time of the day could be hard, right? But obviously it has to have an animal, right? Because we're trapping an animal, right?
You think
We have a
you are
trap,
constraining?
or-
So it doesn't have to be physically, it needs to
could
be
be ropes. could
the
be a trap
ropes.
itself.
so a trap, ropes,
Finding it so it can't leave.
Constraining it.
so confining it so it won't leave, okay? In order to take it for my purpose. Okay, if I'm trapping an animal in order to release it, okay, take it away from me, that is not considered trapping. Okay, so for example, I'm sitting in the sukkah and there's bees coming to the sukkah. I say, those bees are driving me crazy. So I take the 2 cups, always we use cups for some reason with bees, I'm not sure why, and then bring them outside. Well, they'll come back after 10 seconds, but that's another problem. That is not called tzeidah. Okay, the same if I have a mosquito and I catch a mosquito and throw it outside and I close the window so it doesn't come back. That is not called tzeidah. Tzeidah is when I take an animal and bring it to me, not take it away from me. Okay, so that isn't tzeidah. Maybe 2 more important halachot we should learn about tzeidah for a few more halachot. Releasing an animal. Okay, releasing an animal isn't considered tzeidah. Tzeidah is only trapping an animal, but releasing an animal from a trap is not considered tzeidah. Tzeidah, many traps we place on Friday. So can I place a trap on Friday? What do you think?
Depends on how close to Shabbat.
If it's not mamash on Shabbat, I can place a trap on. So I can place, yeah, I can place a trap on Friday. Yeah, I can place a trap on Friday. And there's no problem to do for my equipment to do a melacha on Shabbat. The same as I can set a timer to water my garden. I can set a trap on Friday. Even on Shabbat, okay, if it's a trap, it's the Isur Mid'Rabbanan, setting a trap. If the trap won't catch or won't trap the animal right now, so maybe it'll trap on Shabbat, maybe it'll trap on Sunday, maybe it will not trap at all. Okay, so that will be an Isur Mid'Rabbanan. If I'm setting a trap, and I'm not sure when it will be trapped. Since we mentioned mosquitoes, you never know, but you never know. But when you throw a rod into fishing, so you're always dealing with it, right? You catch a fish, but your action, there's a very straight connection between your action and catching the fish. Maybe you'll catch a fish after the 100 times, right? But each action, if it leads to catching a fish, so there's a connection between it. But if, let's say, for example, I put those plastic glue traps, okay? So the animal will not come when I'm there. And if it will come, it will be quite distant from my action. after an hour, after a day. Okay, so I'm not sure if it will catch on Shabbat. It's not so much connected to my action. Okay, so I'm not doing here an action of trapping on Shabbat. Okay, and what's forbidden is the action of trapping. Since we mentioned mosquitoes, so let's discuss 3 types of animals when can we kill them on Shabbat. Okay, so we told about if they're bothering us, we can catch them and release them. That's not called trapping, it's not called hunting. What about killing them? So let's just do a fast 3 levels of animals. If they're dangerous animals, they're poison animals that can kill, obviously, go to the animal, shoot it, step on it, whatever. If there's a dog that has, what's the name of that disease of dogs? Rabies, right? That can be very, very dangerous. It's to take the dog, and if you want to kill the dog, okay, that's what you can do.
What kind of mosquito bite?
A mosquito bite doesn't
Another
really,
type of mosquito.
not in Israel so much.
Very, very bad.
Yeah,
disease.
not so much. How many mosquito bites have we gotten in the last year? Baruch Hashem, we all
Depends
have.
upon where you live. I
Okay,
mean,
no,
you know.
so not in Israel. Not in Israel.
Tell him he can kill them.
Okay. Yeah. If it's an animal that won't kill, but it will cause severe pain. And severe pain, for example, some of the snakes, some of the scorpions will cause severe pain. You can't kill them on Shabbat on purpose. Okay. But Chazal said you can kill it on purpose as if it's not on purpose. Okay, which means that you can, if there's a danger they'll bite someone or sting someone and it's severe pain, you can walk on them as if your normal way. Because I'm not trying to step on the scorpion, I'm just walking home and it happens to be that there's a scorpion there. The reason is because all the problem of killing a scorpion on Shabbat is midrabanan. Okay, and Chazal said, if it's causes severe pain, so you can kill it as if you're walking home. And if it's something which doesn't cause severe pain, like a mosquito bite, for example, let's say you aren't allergic to mosquitoes or to bees, and okay, so when we get mosquito bites, some of us we get tens a year, hundreds of years. Some will say maybe. We still live, Baruch Hashem, and so that you can't kill on Shabbat. As we said, you can take it off you or catch it, the mosquito, and send it out of the house. And I think it's time now for Arvis.
Yes.